Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mike, Mad Dog McNally, thanks for tuning in today on Juneteenth. Nice to have you. It's a holiday. We're not going to go into that today, but if you're not familiar with what the holiday is for today, take a look. Very interesting part of our history. But welcome. Thanks for being here today. I know I usually start with some corny jokes, but serious topic today, so didn't want to do that. But I do want to start by talking about, to give an intro to the topic of the show today. Years ago, I went to a memorial service for a local person, a local politician who had passed away early. And in the midst of the ceremony, they had a recording of this person singing a song. And the song kind of went like this: I'm so proud to be an American. Being an American is great. Okay, fine. But the next verse was, I'm so proud to be a Christian, and I cringed. I literally cringed, because what the topic of the song was, and the purpose of it, at least as I interpreted it to mean, was that we were equating the two, that we were putting our Christianity and our patriotism together. And I just, like I said, I cringed at that, because I have felt for a long time that that will not work, and it doesn't, and it's a mistake. And that was my initial introduction to the theme of what we're going to talk about today. I have a guest who, a very good friend of mine, somebody I love very much, but we're going to talk about Christian nationalism today. And we're not going to be able to go into it in too much depth, but hopefully we will give you some impetus to think about this and look into it a little bit more. But hey, Street Talk and Other Stuff, Mike Mad Dog McNally, you stick around. We will be right back.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
I chose a career at Confluence Health because I wanted to help people, and I knew there would be opportunities for growth. I started as a medical assistant, but quickly advanced in my career. I received 5 promotions in only 7 years, 3 of those in management roles. Most organizations don't offer that type of growth. Now, as a career pathway coordinator, I let everyone know. Come join Confluence Health. Come grow with us.
It's barbecue chicken pizza season. That means break out the patio furniture, dust off those jorts, pick up an Abby's Pizza, and head to your favorite outdoor spot. I mean, hey, the great outdoors isn't going to enjoy itself, right? Blue skies and pizza go together like, well, barbecue chicken and pizza. That's why it's time to enjoy an Abby's original barbecue chicken pizza at a very special price. Abby's, a legendary pizza tradition.
Okay, we're back. And my guest today may not need much of an introduction from any of you. He's my good friend and my pastor, Pastor Tim Wilbur. Now, one of the neat things about Tim is that he and Jerry Beebe, who is the pastor of the
Wenatchee First Assembly.
Yeah. I can never remember. They are the longest serving pastors of the same church in this community. It's been over 35 years, you and Pastor Jerry.
Yeah, 37 years. Jerry came, I don't know, a few months before I came, and we're still hanging out doing the same thing. We were actually chaplains with the police department together.
That's right, we were.
When we first
we're not going to go there today.
No, we're not going to go there.
Tim came out and rode with me once, but that's not where we're from. But I've been going to Tim's church since about 1997.
Yeah.
Love the man. He's always been a real good inspiration to me, and I appreciate that. But what we're here to talk about today, but before we get into it, just a little bit about yourself, okay? You know, just for those people who may not know you.
I've been doing this for being a pastor for about 45 years now. We came from Kansas City, and we were called to a church out here. We love being in the area. We've raised our kids here. Now we have 6 grandkids.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, we love the work that we do. My wife is a therapist here in town, and
Right.
she's, of course, the better of the two of us. You know that already. I didn't even have to say it. But yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah, we love being in this part.
Well, we love having you.
Well, thank you very much.
So actually, I think I was here before you.
You were,
So
definitely, yeah.
welcome to it. But okay, all right. Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
What is it? Okay, from your perspective. Now, I should say that Tim and I both are kind of basing a lot of what we talk about today about a Christianity Today article that came out in 1921.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been other reading both of us have done.
2021. Sorry to correct you on your own show, but.
Okay, go right ahead.
All right. Well, Christian nationalism is an attempt to unite together Christianity and the American nation.
Okay.
So that with the belief that they are one and the same, that the United States is and always has been a Christian nation, and so with that in mind, Christians should be the ones who are favored in our country. Christians should be the ones who are listened to and should have top priority in laws that get passed, in the culture of the country.
Culture's a big part of it.
It really is a big part of it. And so then the church and American patriotism ought to, and patriotism is great.
Patriotism is different. Patriotism is different than nationalism. So.
Yeah, definitely different. And so the nationalism, the church ought to also have that allegiance, shared allegiance, Jesus and America. Although very few would really admit to that. They would say, no, Jesus first and then the United States. But it gets tangled up together.
Right.
And it begins to muddle the gospel and what it means to be a Christian.
Right.
That you could be a Christian and not be from America. You could be a good Christian and not be from America. You could be a good Christian and not agree with Christian nationalism.
Yeah, well, the point about nationalism, patriotism is love of country, which is great. I love being American. I'm very much in favor of our ideals, as much as we fail to meet them very often. But nationalism has more to do with culture, okay? And what I understand the Christian nationalists want us to be is that they want our culture to be what they define as Christian, okay?
And to set up a system where people are forced, for instance, prayer in school or the 10 Commandments.
Right, and they wouldn't use those words.
No.
They wouldn't use force, but
that's the mentality behind it, that you would be required to, whether you're Christian or not, you would be required to take on a Christian way of behavior.
Right.
And which obviously I embrace a Christian way of behavior, being a pastor, and but there's a way to go about that is not about a political position, not about a government mandating that everyone conform to a certain set of principles.
Okay, what would the history of this be? I know you've done some reading there, I have too. What would you like to comment about how this idea has come to be that America somehow was started as a Christian nation and has continued to be a Christian nation? So,
America, when the English came here, when the settlers came, it was about religious issues. It was about
religious freedom.
Religious freedom. But it wasn't just about, it wasn't supposed to just be about Christian. Mm-hmm. Even in the beginning, there were the ones who came over were divided over which was the right Christianity to be free to participate in. And there was a religion in the United States already that they were intolerant of, and that was the worship that the Native Americans,
the indigenous folks
had. And so in the beginning, their ideals were for freedom of religion, but they didn't really practice those ideals well in loving their neighbor well, they just brought much of the intolerance that was against them. They brought that with them.
Yeah. Now I know the Christian nationalists would say that they're not against, freedom of religion. They're not against that amendment in the Constitution. But what Christian nationalism would do, which Tim had pointed out, as Tim pointed out, would put Christianity in a primary place, is that Christians have the primary position in the local market, as the article put it, and that if that occurred, it's very possible that the other religions in this country would begin to be more suppressed or second-class citizens at best.
Yeah, the article points out, and I think it comes through in a lot of the discussion and the rhetoric about Christian nationalism, is a lot of it is based on fear of losing power, fear of losing the control of the government, and also a mentality of victimization that, Christians are persecuted, and so we need to turn that around so they're not persecuted, and so we have more rights. We're the ones who get the say-so in how the country goes, rather than all of these other people.
Right.
And
one of the things about people have complained about how we Christians are being persecuted in this country is the fact that in many courtrooms or places, the Ten Commandments have been removed.
Yes.
And so what? My question was on Facebook, I said, okay, how many of you can tell me what the Ten Commandments are? I immediately stopped and counted them off myself.
And I've been in lots of churches that I haven't seen the Ten Commandments displayed in a lot of churches either, in a prominent place, or practice for that matter. And so it does interest me, it intrigues me to know that there's a big push to have the Ten Commandments on government buildings and those sorts of things, when the church itself doesn't even.
Right. Our church doesn't have a copy of the Ten Commandments.
Well, if we have a Bible with us, we do, but we don't have one displayed.
Is this in your heart? That's the thing,
Yeah.
And the thing about culture, one of the questions I always have is that who's going to determine what that culture should be? Now, I know that many Christians now are supporting a certain person for president because they feel that this somehow, now you can support the guy if you want. That's fine, but don't tie your Christianity into it for heaven's sakes. I can't understand how they're using that, that somehow their Christianity causes them to support this gentleman. I don't. Okay, so let's say Christian nationalism got the goal they're looking for, and it became the culture of the country. Who's going to define what that culture is? Is somebody then going to tell me that, if you're going to call yourself a Christian, you have to be supporting this person?
Yeah, they're making it the litmus test of whether or not you're a good Christian or a not so good one, or a fake Christian.
Right. Okay. Even the issue, one of the hot topics right now, abortion. Now, please don't interpret this to mean how I feel about this topic, because that's my business how I feel about it. But I said this in church a while back. I know how many people, and even the article, the Christianity Today article, said one of the things we should be doing is resisting abortion. But my point is, I think God is going to ask me, was I compassionate? I don't think he cares. Well, he may care. Well, again, please. I'm a flawed human being, but I think the concern more is that I have compassion for the people in this situation, which is more important than how I personally feel about it.
Yeah.
But if the Christian nationalists come in, this is going to be one of the building blocks of that particular political philosophy or political agenda. So
the hatefulness that toward those who are pro-abortion, and lumping everyone together, that anyone who has an abortion is a bad person,
right,
without considering the circumstances. And back to the Ten Commandments, Jesus said it really boils down to love God with all your mind, soul, and spirit, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And so it's not that there's this rigid set of don't do these things, but what you're saying, the compassion, the love, the kindness for your neighbor. And maybe Christian nationalists would say, well, who is my neighbor?
That's right. And as I always say, who Jesus picked at the time was the most offensive person to the Jews he could at the time. And that's my question. If Jesus came and told me the parable of the Good Samaritan right now, who would he cast in the role of the hero? So, okay, street talk and other stuff. Talking with Pastor Tim Wilbur today. We're trying to talk about Christian nationalism, and we're hoping that this will prompt you to do a little research on your own and look into this. We will be citing the article again. There's some books on it you can find. But hey, street talk and other stuff, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back.
Are you hungry enough to eat the end out of a rhinoceros? I know how you feel. Come on out to Blueberry Hills. You'll have a great time. We've got excellent food, a feet on the furniture kind of experience, and we won't hustle you out of your table. If you want a real farm experience, make the trek to Manson to Blueberry Hills, where you sit, you pick, you eat, and you visit. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
When Mike leaves town, it's a little scary. You never know who might be outside. But we feel safer inside, knowing our home is being monitored by a local company. I can check our alarm from just about anywhere. So when we get home, I know it's safe.
Protect your family and save money with a local company. Switch your current security monitoring to Guardian Services from LocalTel. Call Guardian Security from LocalTel now, or visit localtel.net to learn more.
Hi, everybody. Dan Kuntz alongside Jesse Coble from Alpine Air. We're switching from the cold of winter to the heat of summer. That can put a lot of stress in your HVAC unit.
Yeah, it really can, Dan. I would recommend that you get a maintenance. It can catch any potential problems that you might have during the peak of summer. And it's just a good idea to do on all season changes.
Great idea. Good advice. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. For heat and air, call Alpine Air. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
Hey, we're back. Street talking other stuff. Talking with Pastor Tim Wilbur today. Mr. Wilbur, Pastor Wilbur, good friend, pastor New Song Community Church over in East Wenatchee. Services 10 o'clock every Sunday morning. So. But one of the things that I would like to talk about when we discuss this thing about Christian nationalism, how would Jesus address these issues? Because, I once mentioned on Facebook that I feel that our job as Christians is to bring the kingdom of God on earth. Right. It's part of the Lord's Prayer. And a friend came back and said, Mike, you're talking about social gospel. You're talking about changing laws and taking over the government. I said, no, that's not how I interpret it at all. I mean, what am I doing in my heart, Yeah. My idea about my Christianity is not to change the government or not to force other people to do what I feel they should be doing. And again, I know that the nationalists wouldn't use the word force.
Right.
But it starts with me, I don't need to point out someone else's sin. Am I turning the other cheek? Okay, am I giving my coat to the person who asked for my shirt? All right? Am I loving my neighbor as I love myself? I mean, I feel that's more of where it starts than this idea that we need to change the culture of the country to give me a position of prominence.
Yeah, I think motivation for wanting to change the culture of the country is vital.
Yeah.
Because if your motivation is that we need to get control of our government back, the rhetoric is there was a day when, this was a Christian nation, and I think that's up for grabs. I'm not, there were definitely Bible verses quoted and those kinds of things, but was the behavior of the nation Christian?
Right.
And so to get that back is important. If it's to maintain a history. I think what you're saying is the essence of it all. It's not, do we make laws so people will act Christian, but are we treating each other out of a heart?
Right. Are we representing
Christ?
Christ as Christ would have us be represent him.
Right, and then that changes the way that we view lots of things.
Sure.
It changes the way we feel about the immigrant, the stranger, where the scriptures tell Christians to be hospitable and to treat the stranger well, and so
You had to welcome the alien because you were aliens yourself. You know?
yeah, and we were too.
Right.
Every American person who is not an indigenous person in the United States is a guest, came as a stranger. Sure. And so that's our history, and we love it when we can tell stories about how we were embraced, how we were able to start fresh from a country that was full of tyrannization. So that if that actually is a part of our culture, and it is, then we should maintain that.
Right, and we don't want to start that tyrannization here in this country.
Yeah. No, we want the openness to accept and be hospitable.
Now, something back, we're talking about culture and how that's affected. Now, who determines culture? Now, remember back in pre-Civil War days?
Yeah.
Slavery.
Yeah.
Who defended slavery?
The Christians.
Christians did.
Yeah.
Many did. Not all.
No.
Okay.
No.
But many.
Yes, go ahead.
You could pull out the Bible verses, you could say, and it was for some elements of Christianity in this country, slavery was ordained by God, and they could prove it. On the other hand, who was instrumental in overturning slavery? Other Christians.
Other Christians, right.
So what's the culture? Where does culture come together or something like that? Now, we all can look back and know that slavery was wrong. You know, in all honesty, I say I hope we all agree with that. But there are also current issues right now where Christians are very divided over things that I think in later generations, I'm not going to go into them right now. Check my Facebook posts if you want to see what I'm talking about. But these are things that, again, very, very major differences in what the culture should be and the attitude of how Christianity should be expressed. So I hope I'm making sense.
You are, yeah, you're making a lot of sense, and it gets very complicated, especially when you begin to talk about how do we defend ourselves, how do we protect ourselves from other influences, and how do we arm ourselves, so to speak, so that we're not taken over by another culture or by another group of people. And I think if we are going to respond out of fear, if we're always going to live in fear of something being taken away from us, it's going to be very difficult for us to respond in a Christian way. If we're always on the defensive, always looking at it as us and them, that they are trying to do this to us rather than being united as a nation and being what America was intended to be.
Right.
And that is a place where religious tolerance is practiced, and that includes irreligious people being tolerated as well.
You know, and getting back to where we started this segment, what would Jesus do? You know, what does Jesus tell us to do when we're confronted by an evil person? Do not resist an evil person.
Right.
What does Jesus tell us to do if we're slapped in the face?
Turn the other cheek.
Okay, when did Jesus tell us stand up for your rights and fight for them? I mean, come on, you know the Bible.
Yeah, come on, Jim. You know this stuff.
He didn't.
No, even as he was being taken by the soldiers and the guards, the soldiers of the Jewish religion, and Peter pulls out a sword and chops off the ear of one of the servants. He says, "Put your sword away."
Yeah, that's not how we're doing
That's
this.
not how this goes. And there's a story of where Jesus is going through Samaria, which was a foreign country for him, and where he was the outsider, not welcome. And he sends some guys to a city to get lodging, and they turn him away. And so the guys come back and say, "Jesus, would you like for us to call down fire and brimstone from heaven and destroy those people?" And
James and John, sons of thunder.
And Jesus says, "You don't even know what spirit you're of to even ask such a thing."
Right.
And so how would Jesus approach these kinds of things? It would first of all be from the position of love.
Right.
And then And then from there, would there be justice? Of course, because there has to be, if love is truly going to be practiced, there has to be justice.
Right.
And injustices need to be confronted. But the baseline is always responding out of love and not out of fear, not out of wanting to control, not out of wanting to be the ones in power, but truly out of loving each other, loving your neighbor.
And and this thing about people complaining about no prayer in schools, and I go, I don't think you should have prayer in schools, I don't think we should. I mean, when I was growing up, first and second grade, we had a prayer in the morning. I was always frequently chosen to read because and I would always pick a short psalm. But it's what I say. A lot of people of the religious bent are opposed to the educational system for now. And my idea always was I didn't care what they taught my kids at school because my kids came home and talked to me, And that's where it should begin. Okay, we're getting a little off topic here.
A little bit, but it makes sense. I mean, that is a big issue, and Twitter is full, Facebook is full of this the ideology that yes, prayer needs to be instilled back into school, and what you're saying is correct. Well, prayer needs to be. Maybe we need to instill it back into the home.
Yeah.
Where prayer is about your relationship to Christ, not whether you're doing something according to the ruling political system.
Your kids can pray at school. It's just they don't need the teacher to tell them to.
Yes.
So I don't think Jesus told us to stand up for our rights. Okay.
I agree. I agree.
I think about what's being promoted in this country as far as Christian nationalism is not something that Jesus would subscribe to. I do not think America is the new Israel. I do not think that God has a special place. We've been blessed with natural resources. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things about why America is in part the great country it is, but it has nothing to do with God thinking that we're special.
True.
Okay, not at all.
Not at all. But again, agreed. We have been blessed through no merit of our own by God Almighty, and we're grateful for that. And so, what do you do when you're blessed?
You bless other people.
You bless other
have
people.
That responsibility.
Absolutely.
So,
you bless other people.
But hey, we got to take a break. Got to stop right now, but Street Talk and other stuff, we're going to come back and give you a few references you can look at. But hey, Street Talk and other stuff, stick around. We will be right back.
D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee provides financial services for independent-minded clients working to secure their futures. Whether it's helping construct your personal financial, retirement, or estate plan, they start with a disciplined approach and straightforward advice. An individualized approach is rooted in the values, stability, and strength their company was founded on in 1935. With offices coast to coast and personal attention you deserve right here in the Wenatchee Valley, learn more about D.A. Davidson.
Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa, located on South Wenatchee Ave, has the largest selection of spas and swim spas in town. Stay cool this summer in an artesian swim spa and use it all year long. We enjoy helping families reconnect one spa at a time. Hot tubs are proven to improve sleep and decrease arthritis pain. Our passion is water, so please bring us a water sample, and we will help you diagnose your pool or spa water for free. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa, your pool and spa experts.
Okay, we're back. Street Talk and other stuff. Now, we hope we, perked your interest a little bit today. If you want to see the article that Tim and I have been referring today, you can go to Google Christianity Today. You can punch in Christian nationalism in the search box. And this article was written back in February 3rd of 2021. You can find it yourself. There's other references out there. You can search this on, again, Google. You can go to Amazon and look at different books. But hey, Tim, God bless you, brother.
Thank
Good
you.
to have
You
But
as well. Good to be here.
Street Talk and other stuff. Enjoy the holiday today. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.